The following program is sponsored by the Medicine Center Pharmacies.
Good morning and welcome to Health Matters with the Medicine Center Pharmacy, a local Health Mart pharmacy. I'm your pharmacist, Paul White. We're glad you joined us this morning. Before we begin, I'd like to thank Mercy Medical Center, Studio Arts and Glass, and of course our technical producer, J.D. DeAngelis. In the studio with me is Brad White, a compounding pharmacist, and our very special guest, Julie Dominik, occupational therapist and certified driver rehabilitation specialist from Mercy Driver Rehabilitation. Good morning and welcome to the show.
Good morning.
Driving safely during the winter months can be a challenge for all drivers. This includes teens, parents, seniors, and anyone who gets behind the wheel. When the snow and freezing rain comes, it often causes many problems for those of us who must be out on the road. According to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, 17% of all crashes during the winter months. So, today we're going to learn about some winter driving methods to take safety tips like when your car or truck is sliding, what you should do, and how you should prepare your vehicle to know before you head out on the road. So today we'd like to remind our listeners that our program is available on our podcast, which can be downloaded from the App Store of your mobile phone. You can look for Health Matters with the Medicine Center Pharmacy and listen to any of our programs anytime. If you have questions you'd like addressed today, you can post them up on our live Facebook feed, or you can give us a call here at the radio station at 330-450-1480.
So, Julie, tell us a little bit about yourself and your position at Mercy Medical Center.
Well, first, I'm an occupational therapist. I've worked at Mercy for 28 years, and I've been doing driver rehabilitation for about 20 of those years. Mercy has the only driver rehabilitation program in a several county area. We provide driving assessments to determine if somebody can return to driving, maybe if they've had a health issue, has the potential to be a driver. I see young people as well. I also assess for adaptive equipment or techniques to drive, or needs for driving retirement. So I see a lot of older people that sometimes that's the issue. So typically it's doctor directed, and it's a comprehensive assessment of all the skills that somebody needs to be fit to drive. So and oftentimes I get agency referrals too, like workers' compensation and the Ohio opportunities for Ohioans with disabilities. So I see folks sometimes from 15 and a half years old to end of life. So I'm doing driving stuff every day. I'm on these roads of our community every day, and traffic safety is very important to me.
So tell us the structure, something about, a little bit more info about the rehabilitation program. I mean, who goes there?
Well, typically, a physician is going to determine if somebody is at risk, possibly. That's the normal referral system is maybe somebody's had a stroke, maybe somebody's been in the hospital for a long time, maybe they just got diagnosed with an illness that's going to be progressive in nature, maybe Parkinson's or dementia, something on those lines. And or it could be that a family came to a physician and said, boy, I'm really worried about my mom or dad. They're showing signs that they're very confused. So law enforcement can also be part of that situation depending on what's happened. So I get referrals from a lot of different ways, but they can call Mercy, and I've got that phone number to add to later if they're interested in more information, or also just to schedule an appointment.
Okay. So I've heard, with the various guests we've had over the years, that stroke victims who are drivers have to be recertified, or did I get that wrong?
Well, typically the way the law is in Ohio is it's up to the physician's discretion. So if they feel that it's necessary, I think most of our physicians in our area are pretty proactive about that, because whenever the brain is involved in any kind of situation, then it becomes a concern that there may be something that might be off that might affect the driving abilities. So typically those referrals are pretty consistent. Maybe if it's a very minor stroke and they didn't have much rehabilitation following, a physician might make the decision that they're okay to return to driving without an assessment. But the law doesn't dictate that's mandatory from a licensing perception.
So what's the process? Okay, an individual has a stroke. How does it get to the license bureau or drivers, whatever, that, okay, this person had a stroke? and we don't want them to drive, or what? I mean,
Well, typically, a physician's going to let them know that I don't want you to drive until we talk about this further. They usually go through all of the steps of their rehabilitation. So, acute stage in the hospital, then inpatient rehabilitation, maybe at our local hospitals or at a nursing facility, then typically home therapy, outpatient therapy, depending on their needs. And then driving kind of is at the end of that line because it's one of the most comprehensive and challenging skills that we have. So, usually, by the time that they're finishing up with their rehab, that's when driving becomes something that's more discussed and decided on. So that's usually how it happens, and that would be with somebody that had, a more significant stroke or an event.
okay.
All right, so ironically, we've had some experience with winter driving here in the last week or two. Some days better than others, and I get the impression that every year that either people forget how it changes your dynamic, but I'm wondering if you have any stats just for Ohio or Stark County maybe that might help people understand how much of a risk it is for safe driving during the winter months.
Perfect. Winter driving is definitely the most challenging driving that we do. And yes, you mentioned that we've had some recent experience. Last weekend was definitely experience. I had some of my own. And, preparation is a big part of that. But when we have a storm that pops up and we're not prepared, we've still got to be able to act relatively quickly. Let me tell you a little bit about our Stark County numbers first, and then I'll talk about the winter factor. Last year in 2018, we had 39 fatalities on our roadways, which unfortunately was a giant leap from the year previous. In 2017, we had 27. 10 of those deaths last year were in the winter months, so January to March, and then I'll include December, although December last year wasn't too wintry. 29 of those deaths were in the warmer weather months. So, and unfortunately this year we've had 3 fatalities already this year in 2019. The summer tends to be more dangerous with regards to crashes, fatal crashes, I should clarify. People out there in the summertime are usually less experienced. The teens are out. You've got construction, you've got heat, you've got probably more alcohol use, those kind of typical things. But in the wintertime, a lot of people that have new teen drivers aren't going to send their kids out in the cars because they're inexperienced when we have the road conditions. Older people are going to stay home if the roads are bad, so they're going to decide not to drive. You and I are going to make different choices about making more time to get from point A to point B because we know we need to take more time. So experience has a lot to do with, I think, being prepared for that winter driving and having your vehicle in very good condition. Some of those issues are also worth discussing. We're going to have very cold temperatures next week. I hear it's going to be almost sub-zero at times, and preparation for vehicle issues is very important.
In the spirit of that, are we going to talk about what to carry with you later on?
Yeah,
or
we
if you
should.
wanna...
Yes, no, I've got it whenever.
Because that's something I think is important. But, at what point, you drive over the bridges. I think of the bridge over here going Route 30 over 77, and they've got the signs up that say bridge freezes before roads do. And I've always I've only had the experience once to really witness how dramatic that can be with the temperatures. So at what temperatures should we start thinking about the road conditions changing? And I'm guessing it's not always at 32 degrees.
No, it's not. Actually, you should kind of be concerned under 36. So even at 35 degrees, the roads can start to get some black ice. Typically, you're going to see it between 27 and 32 degrees, and usually there has to be precipitation involved. So even a fog can be precipitation. Snow, obviously, if there's rain, freezing rain, we've had that recently. Those are all things to remember. And you mentioned bridges, which is huge because they do become very icy. I was on an off-ramp last weekend and was not prepared at all, and I was getting off of the highway up towards Cleveland, and it was a sheet of ice, and I started to slip and slide. So I don't think we remember that the ramps also are an issue. And they also mentioned that areas close to an intersection sometimes, just because people stop and start there, those can also become a little more icy than the actual roads that we're moving on.
Stuff falling off the cars. And,
yes.
Yeah, okay.
So, when should we prepare for winter driving? What temperature? What conditions? What? I want to say something before you answer. I took a mini poll in one of our stores a few days ago, and I said, okay, what do you have in your car for safety if you got hung up or stuck somewhere? Of all the staff, I think one person said, well, I have some water.
Oh, yeah, there you go. Yeah,
So,
and unfortunately,
this
I'm
is
not a
just-
good example either.
I know.
My work car, I have much more in there than I do in my own personal car. So, and they tell you, typically in November, obviously we're way past that at this point, but you should be thinking about that, thinking about putting your little kit together. December this year would have been absolutely fine too. Obviously now it's not ever too late to gather some of these items. So the things that they tell you should definitely have available for yourself is a shovel of some sort. It can be even a small shovel to kind of shovel your snow out. Snow brush and a scraper is an absolute must. A flashlight is good in case it's dark. Jumper cables, a blanket, hat, gloves. First aid kit should always be in your vehicle. Bottled water is a great thing because you don't want to run out of having something to hydrate yourself. Non-perishable food, maybe a couple granola bars, something on those lines. You should always have your mobile phone and a charger because people's phones go dead, and if you have a charger, at least you could plug it in and you can keep something for traction also. Kitty litter is a good idea. If you would get stuck and you could put that around the tire. Some people carry rugs that they could, put under there to gain some traction. So those are things that I think are nice things to have. I suspect that your staff was probably the majority of people because a lot of people aren't prepared.
Well, I agree with that. I mean, it's a non-thinking thing. I'm driving to work. I live up the road, or
Do it all the time. You know where you're going,
where
right?
I'm going,
Right.
The route, all that sort of stuff, and so.
Here
You
the
don't-
car
you don't
works.
think it's gonna, and you don't think it's going to happen to you, so therefore you just don't prepare.
You hear in the news almost every day that somebody gets stuck out in the middle of nowhere and either can't get to somebody, like the kid went in the lake up at Lake Lucerne, north of us, and I don't know, somebody rescued him fairly quickly.
Yes, thank goodness.
I think.
Yes, they did.
So that was a neat situation, but hey, creeks, all that stuff.
Right. And the other things that I just want to mention that you want to be in good working conditions, tire condition is important. So talking about vehicle maintenance, battery is going to be a huge one for next week when we hit those really sub-zero temperatures, because if your battery is not newer or well charged up, it's not going to work. Lights, making sure all your lights are operational on your vehicles. I've seen several cars in some of that snow that had like one headlight or one tail light, and then you don't know what you're even dealing with at that point.
Especially when it's blizzardy.
Yes, exactly. Wiper blades, washer fluid level should be up so that you can use it because you need it at that point, and then your brake condition obviously too. So
Sure. Okay. You're listening to Health Matters with the Medicine Center Pharmacy.
You're listening to Health Matters with the Medicine Center Pharmacy and your hosts, pharmacists Paul White and Brad White. Remember, you can get more information right now by visiting medshoprx.com. That's medshoprx.com. We'll be back with more of Health Matters with the Medicine Center Pharmacy in just a moment.
Hi, this is Brad White, your Medicine Center pharmacist. Are you paying big bucks for a little blue Viagra pill? There's a better alternative. Starting at only $4 per dose with a prescription from your doctor, the Medicine Center Pharmacy can prepare a sildenafil or tadalafil tablet that melts in your mouth for an affordable price. This allows you to take care of business and still have money left over for dinner and a movie. The Medicine Center Pharmacy has 4 locations in Stark and Tuscarawas counties. We're here to keep you healthy and save you money. Give us a call at 330-339-4466 for more information.
With a heart attack, every second counts. Every moment the blood supply to your heart is cut off or reduced leads to heart damage or death. Mercy Medical Center can stop a heart attack in record time. Mercy is the only hospital in the nation that can open a blocked artery right in the ER just minutes after arrival, saving lives and preventing further heart muscle damage. That's because Mercy's Emergency Chest Pain Center was America's first to achieve full accreditation and the first to install a fully functional cardiac catheterization lab just a few steps away from our ER doors. The average time in the U.S. from ER arrival to opening of a blocked heart artery is 64 minutes. At Mercy, thanks to our ER cath lab and the area's most experienced emergency heart care team, it's faster. We're capable of opening a blocked artery in as little as 5 minutes. If you have heart attack symptoms, get to Mercy. We can stop a heart attack in record time. To learn more, visit cantonmercy.org/heart.
Make a handmade heart for someone special. February 2nd and 9th at Studio Arts and Glass. Learn glass slumping in this 2-hour class, good for all ages. Call 494-9779 for more information or see samples at studioartsandglass.com. If you don't want to make one, come buy one at Studio Arts and Glass, where the gift shop's open Monday through Saturday from 10 to 6. StudioArtsandGlass.com.
It's winter weather season, which means dry, irritated skin can be a problem. Medicine Center Pharmacy can help you stay moisturized for less. Save on our Quality Choice line of products during our buy one, get one free sale. The Quality Choice brand is the same as national brand items, but without the price tag. Stop into any Medicine Center Pharmacy and stock up on all Quality Choice products, including skincare, cold and flu remedies, feminine products, and more. Mix and match all Quality Choice and save big. Free item must be equal or lesser value. Visit MedShopRx.com for more information. Welcome back to Health Matters with the Medicine Center Pharmacy. Today we're talking about winter driving safety with Mercy Medical's Julie Dominik, winter driving safety rehabilitation specialist from Mercy Rehabilitation Program. Have a question, post it on our live Facebook feed or give us a call at 330-450-1480. Okay. This is interesting. People pull out of their driveway, pull out of the road, they're completely covered in snow. Okay. In fact, one day ago or 2 days ago, I got behind this guy and I thought, I don't know how you're even seeing where you're going. And, you know, it's just nuts. So, what's the deal?
Well, so a lot of people, I think, don't give themselves adequate time when the road conditions are a problem. The other day, we both mentioned earlier when we were talking that we came out and there was snow, and I didn't expect snow yesterday morning. So people that don't make extra time sometimes will hurriedly leave, and then they clean off a little bit of the snow. Unfortunately, though, you need visibility around your vehicle. So the best thing to do, of course, is to clean off all the window surfaces. You should clean off your trunk, your hood, your lights, the roof if you're able to, because what happens is that snow, as soon as you start going, starts blowing. So it may blow right onto your windshield and then make it difficult for you to see. But I had the other day, I was on 12th Street and a piece of ice, a chunk of ice came from another vehicle that was passing me and hit me right in the windshield. Luckily, it didn't do any damage, but you know, those things, because there's a lot of extra debris on those cars and it's going to fly off at some point. So cleaning that is important.
We're in a period here where I think I remember this morning, that the weather isn't going to be above freezing for quite some time. So we're going to have ice, the ice that we have now, and possibly even more for somewhere between, unless we get a breather here, between a week and 10 days.
Correct.
The hardware stores, the auto stores all sell this aerosol spray, defrosting spray. You should have some in your car. Spray your windshield.
Good idea, yes.
Spray your windshield. Your doors could be frozen locked. Okay.
Yes. If your car sits outside, absolutely. Yeah. That happened to my daughter not too long ago because her car sits outside, and it's definitely can be a concern.
Exactly. And this stuff tears up your windshield wipers. If it gets stuck to your windshield, don't grab your windshield wipers and yank them up in the ice, because you're going to lose them. You
are going to lose them, absolutely. And it always is good. I work at Mercy, of course, and we have lots of people. We have a very large parking lot. Yeah. And when you get in that parking lot, if there's going to be any precipitation, you lift those windshield wipers up so that when you come out, they're not stuck to your windshield, because it does, I mean, it'll ruin the wipers.
Exactly. So we didn't quite catch this total question. How much to clear off for your car? Everything?
As much as you can. You should, any loose snow that's on there, you should clear off.
Yeah.
You want people to see you, and you want to be able to see. So people will see you if your lights are clear, because we can talk about lights a little bit later, but you want your lights to be illuminated and to be visible in the back and the front, and you want all of your window surfaces clean because you use that area to see out of. Your mirrors also should be cleaned off because you need to use those as well. So as much as you can clean off, you should.
One of the things you got to remember is your mirrors are usually plastic; they're not glass. So if you get on there with a scraper and start scraping off the ice, you're gonna tear up the surface of that mirror. So
some of the newer vehicles have the defrosting side mirrors, which is nice because then that'll get that debris off of there.
And that's one of the places where you use the aerosol spray.
Yes. Thank you for sharing that. That's a great suggestion.
The reason I remember that is because we didn't have any in our stores.
And people were asking probably.
So I had to go to the auto store. So, driving. Okay. Now, the roads can be really a fooler sometimes when you don't think you see anything on the road, but there's ice all over the road. So what do we do in that scenario, and in a scenario where the roads are ice covered or slightly snow covered? Let's say we got good tires. Is it going to make a difference?
It should make a difference, absolutely. You want your tires to have good tread on them. If it's ice, however, unfortunately, that's less of an issue. I want to give you a little bit of a driving tip. So if you start to slide, you feel that car lifting up and you're not catching that roadway at all, you need to get your foot off that accelerator pedal. Let the car slow down as much as it can on its own and gently apply that brake until a firm pressure is put on there. The problem is that people tend to overreact. Yeah. They tend to slam the brake pedal down, and you don't have traction to begin with, so you're gonna just twist and turn, and then they take the steering wheel and then they yank it in a direction, and they're ending up going somewhere. So that's usually when people get lose control when there's ice conditions. That's what happens, is they overreact.
Well, if you have anti-locking brakes, which most of them, they all do. It's been a long time now since they started doing that.
Long time.
And you do get a warning. If you apply the brakes and you start to slide, that's an immediate telltale that you got an issue.
You're not grabbing.
You're not grabbing. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And you got to firmly depress those ABS brakes. Yeah. We used to pump the old brakes, and now you have to harden and keep it solidly down there.
Sure.
All right, what about, you mentioned some extra things to keep in your car, and maybe for listeners just joining us, it might be a good idea to hit those again before our commercial break here.
All right, sounds good. Let's go with that list. I'm going to first say what your dad mentioned, which is the what do they call that spray?
I know Prestone makes it, and there are other manufacturers.
Yeah, it's kind of a defrost or de-icer.
I think it's an alcohol-based or something like that.
Excellent idea, though, and that wasn't on my list.
Won't damage your car, that sort of thing.
So you want that de-icer, you want some kind of shovel or something to move snow with. It doesn't have to be a big shovel. A snow brush, a scraper, definitely. A flashlight, jumper cables, blanket, hat, gloves, first aid kit, which should always be in there, some bottled water, some non-perishable food items, granola bars is a good example, and then you always want to make sure you have a mobile phone and a charger with you in case you would get stranded. So those are items that you want to make sure you have. You can also do something that would be gain you traction, like cat litter, or carry a rug with you that you could put under a tire in case you would get stuck.
Windshield spray de-icer is what it's called.
There we go. Thank you.
Gotcha.
$5.
Well, what about we put the list up on our website?
Okay.
Bottom of the hour, time for the news. Thanks for joining us this morning on Health Matters with the Medicine Center Pharmacy.
You're listening to Health Matters with the Medicine Center Pharmacy and your hosts, pharmacists Paul White and Brad White. Remember, you can get more information right now by visiting medshoprx.com. That's medshop.rx.com. We'll be back with more of Health Matters with the Medicine Center Pharmacy in just a moment.
Hi, this is Brad White from the Medicine Center Pharmacy. Perhaps you've gotten the urge to venture outside and clean the garage or do some yard work, resulting in muscle aches and pains. If you have sore muscles or aching joints, you may want to consider a prescription pain-relieving cream available with a prescription at the Medicine Center Pharmacy. Our pharmacist can work with you and your physician to get topical pain creams that can be rubbed directly on the source, reducing inflammation and pain. Topical creams avoid troublesome side effects and dependency issues that can be caused by oral medications. The Medicine Center Pharmacy has an accredited compounding laboratory, and it is your source for custom medications. Custom compounded pain-relieving creams, available only at the Medicine Center Pharmacy, where wellness begins. Visit us at medshoprx.com for the pharmacy nearest you. That's medshoprx.com.
Are you tired of paying hundreds of dollars to find out your A1C and cholesterol levels? You don't have to do that anymore. Every month in each of our pharmacies, you can get your A1C lipid profile, which includes your cholesterol levels as well as glucose results, while you wait. A Medicine Center pharmacist will draw your blood and give you the results in just minutes. You can also get your blood pressure checked for free. Call us to find out when we'll be in the Neighborhood Medicine Center Pharmacy in Canton, Louisville, Minerva, and New Philadelphia. 330-454-8772.
Make a handmade heart for someone special. February 2nd and 9th at Studio Arts and Glass. Learn glass slumping in this 2-hour class, good for all ages. Call 494-9779 for more information or see samples at studioartsandglass.com. If you don't want to make one, come buy one at Studio Arts and Glass, where the gift shop's open Monday through Saturday from 10 to 6. StudioArtsandGlass.com.
If your pharmacy is closed, the Medicine Center Pharmacy welcomes you. Hi, this is pharmacist Brad White. Just like yesterday's corner drugstore, the Medicine Center Pharmacy offers personal and professional service. The Medicine Center Pharmacist will get to know your name and your pharmacy needs, plus offer prompt, friendly service and acceptance of prescription insurance plans. So make the Medicine Center Pharmacy at 551 West High Avenue in New Philadelphia your new pharmacy. The Medicine Center Pharmacy, where wellness begins.
Listening to Health Matters with the Medicine Center Pharmacy. I'm your host and pharmacist, Paul White. Today we're talking about winter driving safety with Mercy Medical Center's Julie Dominik, Winter Driving Safety Rehabilitation Specialist from Mercy Rehabilitation Program. We've got a lot more to cover this morning, so let's get back to the show.
Okay, we've had some great questions this morning come in over the phones, and I want to let you know that some of the questions are kind of beyond the scope of our program and require a little bit more clinical assistance. So if you have specific questions about people that maybe have a medical condition and you're questioning what you need to do to make sure they're safe in the car, I think that's a great opportunity to talk to your primary care physician, or you can give Julie a call at Mercy, and her phone number is
330-489-1135, and I'll be sure to repeat that at the end of the show.
Very good. How about snow tires? They still make snow tires? Do we need snow tires?
They still make snow tires.
You mean bulb tires aren't okay?
Bulb tires are not okay. But snow tires, in the area that we live currently, if you've looked at the snow amounts that we've had in the last few winters, we really haven't had gigantic snow amounts. So a lot of folks, unless you live out in rural areas, don't tend to switch to snow tires. Some people still insist on doing that. Our tires that we have on our vehicles are all weather tires. Typically, they're going to be sufficient in the conditions that we have to do. If you live in the high snow country in Colorado, then obviously you'd want snow tires on your vehicles. And I have some friends that live kind of in Bath that change to snow tires because it works in their environment. But typically, we're all okay in our all-weather tires. But we don't want them to be bald. You need to make sure that you do have adequate traction on there, and any of your maintenance people can make sure that they check that for you to make sure that you have adequate traction.
It's amazing how much of a difference it makes. It
huge.
Really is. So.
Huge.
So, the tire thing, the car thing, all the stuff about the car, okay, and the driver, I guess, too. When you retest somebody or retrain somebody or whatever, how do you do the thing? How do you approach the ice, or what do you tell them about the driving in the icy Delaware roads?
Well, typically I'm not going to put somebody in the car in those conditions just because there is an increased risk factor. So if we have bad weather conditions that pop up while I'm doing an assessment on somebody,
Sure.
I'm going to pull back and probably make some other changes in scheduling and see them at a different time when we don't have those conditions. I did it once, and it was a new driver, and things got a little risky real quick, so it's not a good practice. Your son asked me at the break if I would put somebody that I'm teaching to drive in those conditions, and I will if I have that opportunity. I don't want it to be a blizzard or something very dangerous, but I think it's a good opportunity to give some experience to new drivers, because they really need to be shown how to do that. The younger drivers are the ones that aren't used to these conditions. They get on ice and they're the overreactors.
Yeah, get in the car.
Because they've never tried it. So that idea that I mentioned to you earlier, where you take your foot off the accelerator, you let the car slow down, you gently apply the brake, you hold onto the steering wheel and steer in the direction that you want to go. Eyes, steering wheel, go in the direction you want to go. That's your best practice. So I think that I definitely teach people that, but I don't always have the chance to do the experience part. So
Okay, there's a lot of automobiles that have remote starters. Okay.
yes.
And,
Great question.
should we warm our car up for 10 or 15 minutes?
And the answer to that is no, but the remote start is a great feature, and we think that we need to warm our car up to de-ice it, defrost it, which we do, and that's helpful. 5 minutes is about the extent of what you need to do. Your car will warm up faster if it's being driven. It's meant to move. It's not meant to sit. Besides the fact that the idling of an engine creates all kinds of environmental issues that we don't need to go there, but that's also a concern. So you do not need to start your car for an extended period of time unless you're cleaning it off. Usually what I'll do is I'll start my car while I clean it off, because then it's warming up a little bit while you're getting the snow off, and that's usually adequate timing.
Okay.
The remote start's great though. I mean, it's a great little feature.
I like to warm up my truck.
Because it's more comfortable for you to get into it. So it's more about personal choice,
Sure.
as opposed to what's necessary for the vehicle.
All right, we get these four-wheel driver people out there who say their vehicle's safer and can go through a mountain of snow and da-da-da. What about these characters?
Well, it's interesting, and in preparing for today, I did a little bit of extra research, and it says all vehicles need traction for safe steering and safe braking. So four-wheel drive, all-wheel drive vehicles are fantastic to get you out of a stuck situation or get you moving in a heavy snow situation, where a two-wheel drive car will not, or a rear-wheel drive car will not get you to go. You'll be stuck. But we need traction for both of those operations: speed control, steering.
Sure.
We have no traction regardless of what kind of vehicle we're in, what kind of wheel system there is, because that's the issue. Once the cars are moving, the physics is exactly the same. So sometimes you'll see people, and I did last weekend, in these four-wheel drive vehicles, and they think that they can do whatever that they want to do, and they're driving way over the speed that they should be traveling at, and it's extremely dangerous because they're no more connected to that roadway than I am. So they need to be very cautious about that. It's good to get going, but it doesn't matter once you're going.
Well, four-wheel drive doesn't help on ice. So.
No, it doesn't help at all on ice. Exactly.
So how about following a snow truck on the four-lane highway?
Absolutely, and that is a big issue right now. This is the slogan for ODOT, for the Ohio Department of Transportation. When there's snow, take it slow, and that's exactly what you have to do. There is. The best option is to have a 2 to 3 car length, at least, distance behind a snow plow. You're typically going to find those plows on the interstates. Sometimes you'll see the local plows on our roadways. They're not quite as big. The ones on the interstates just look giant to me.
Yeah.
I mean, they look like monsters. And you want to make sure, if you can't see their side mirrors, they cannot see you. So it's kind of the same idea as a semi-truck. If you can't see the semi-truck side mirrors, then that truck has no awareness that you're even there. So you need to keep your distance far, far back.
I learned a lesson from a customer quite a few years ago. He came in the store one day and his face was all cut up. Okay. And I said, wow, what happened to you? And he said, I was following a truck with tandem wheels, two in the back. And apparently either they had, I don't know if they had flaps on the thing or not, but he said there was a rock between the two tires, and that truck, I was following too close, and that truck threw the rock at me, came in my windshield, and was running around the inside of my cars I couldn't get away from, and he said it tore up my face.
Oh my gosh.
So to this day, whenever I get close to a truck, I think to myself, first thing I do, you got any flaps? But I never follow a truck closely.
No. And we really shouldn't follow anything too closely.
Right.
Certainly not in the wintertime, but always that needs to be the adage. It's a 2 to 3, closer to a 3-second follow rule in regular driving conditions. Double that, triple that if you're talking about winter driving conditions. And certainly those plows, the snow plows themselves move at a slower rate of speed, but they're worried, they're trying to clear the snow. And they sometimes will make a snow cloud as they're pushing the snow away, or they'll drop it over an overpass and it ends up on the cars underneath. I mean, you've got to be very, very aware and cautious of what those plows are doing work we need. So just be respectful and try not to pass unless you have to, and then be very cautious about
I think
that.
Maybe the most irritating thing about drivers in the last X years is they follow you too close. Mm-hmm. And I drive an extended van. I've got big mirrors, so I can see all around the vehicle and through. When I don't have anything in the van, I can see through the back, and I just slow down. I guess you're gonna hit me.
That's
you
right.
Might as well hit me slow.
That's right. That's right.
As fast. So
no, it is a big problem, and there's a lot of rear end accidents that happen because of that issue.
Yeah.
So
Why did we consider the first winter storm of the season to be the most dangerous?
well, it's because we forget. It's more about lack of experience. So most of us will forget how we drove last year, and it takes us a little while to feel that again. I have a new vehicle this year compared to what I had last year. Drives very, very differently, so I had to get used to what is this going to feel like in the conditions. So I think it's more based on the experience that we've kind of lost or we didn't ever have. So I know some people that have moved back here. They used to winter in Florida. I see a lot of older people with my job, and that's one of the concerns that the older people will often say is, I haven't driven in winter weather in a really long time because I've been in Florida.
Sure.
And then, you put them back on the roadway and they're going to struggle. So, and I often recommend that you just, if it's bad out there and you're concerned, stay home. Make your appointment, change your appointment time, whatever it is. There's a fall risk involved too. We've been talking about driving, but all of us can fall on that ice out there. I mean, I'm very cautious because I scare myself. I broke a wrist once falling on black ice. So, that's another thing to consider. Once we get in our cars, we got to get out of our cars and go into the medicine shop or the hospital or wherever you're going. So something else to just keep in mind.
Okay, you've been doing this for a long time. What about the progression of the newer vehicles with more and more
Infotainment?
Tech.
Yeah, they call it
conveniences.
infotainment.
Now my wife has a car, obviously not a truck, and it's has much more on it than my truck does, and I don't drive her car that much, but it's sometimes it's intimidating to me. Now, how do you get the heat on, or how do you get the how do you turn the fan down or turn the fan up, or all, because it's all
Right.
it's all touched on the panel.
And you're trying to do it while you're driving oftentimes because
Yes.
you're not familiar with it. You haven't driven it much. And unfortunately, I have a pretty big concern about that myself because I think it's very distracting. We have other distractions we bring into the car oftentimes, which are very dangerous. I don't need to bring those up. That's not what we're talking about
Sure.
today. But the cars themselves can be very distracting because of all of the different features on them now. And you really need to get to know the vehicle you're going to drive before you ever move
Take
the
it out,
vehicle
yeah.
because otherwise you're not sure where things are at. And most of the stuff is secondary. You can adjust your radio, you can adjust your heat when you're sitting at a light or you're stopped or you're
Sure.
parked somewhere. So most of that stuff isn't necessary. But the major car primary controls, you should know how to operate those. Something we didn't talk about earlier that you just brought to my mind was, winter driving. One of the things that I think people forget is you should never, ever, ever use your cruise control. Ever
I
on
love my
snowy
cruise
or ice.
control.
Don't use
Oh,
it
not on
when
ice.
not
No,
on
no.
ice.
No, I agree with that.
Not
I
on
agree with
ice,
that,
not
yeah.
in winter driving conditions.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Because you don't have as quick of an opportunity to gain that control of that vehicle back.
Sure.
So if you're going too fast, so that's something to
Yeah.
keep in mind that we didn't mention.
Okay.
How about we hit headlights before we break
sure.
here next?
Yes, great question. So we all have, I think most of the vehicles anymore have automatic headlights. I have mine set that way. You guys probably have yours set that way as well. So you have daytime, we used to call them daytime running lights. So your headlights are illuminated at less vividness, I guess I'll use that word, than typical, but so you can be seen in the daytime. What happens, however, is that's not full-on headlights, and your rear lights are not illuminated with that automatic setting in the daytime. So if the visibility conditions become difficult, and that could even be rain, but snow for sure, then you want to turn your setting to the on setting of your headlight setting, because the automatic lights are not as sufficient to be seen by other vehicles. And then you have your rear lights on as well. So just that's a good tip. People forget that they need to do that, and they say, oh, my car has auto lights, so they automatically adjust. They adjust to nighttime darkness, but they don't adjust to visibility conditions in the daytime.
And that twilight time could be a problem.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, final break is here. You're listening to Health Matters with the Medicine Center Pharmacy.
You're listening to Health Matters with the Medicine Center Pharmacy and your hosts, pharmacists Paul White and Brad White. Remember, you can get more information right now by visiting medshoprx.com. That's medshop.rx.com. We'll be back with more of Health Matters with the Medicine Center Pharmacy in just a moment.
Hi, this is Brad White, your Medicine Center pharmacist. Are you paying big bucks for a little blue Viagra pill? There's a better alternative. Starting at only $4 per dose with a prescription from your doctor, the Medicine Center Pharmacy can prepare a sildenafil or tadalafil tablet that melts in your mouth for an affordable price. This allows you to take care of business and still have money left over for dinner and a movie. The Medicine Center Pharmacy has 4 locations in Stark and Tuscarawas counties. We're here to keep you healthy and save you money. Give us a call at 330-339-4466 for more information.
Are you sick and tired of waiting at the big chain drug pharmacies for your medicine? We have been there. You aren't feeling well. You go to pick up your prescription, and you're told to come back later. At the Medicine Center Pharmacy, you don't have to wait. We can fill your prescription in 15 minutes or less. And we might even be able to save you money on your prescriptions. Talk to your Medicine Center Pharmacy at any one of our locations in Canton, Louisville, Minerva, and or New Philadelphia. Visit medshoprx.com for more information.
With a heart attack, every second counts. Every moment the blood supply to your heart is cut off or reduced leads to heart damage or death. Mercy Medical Center can stop a heart attack in record time. Mercy is the only hospital in the nation that can open a blocked artery right in the ER just minutes after arrival, saving lives and preventing further heart muscle damage. That's because Mercy's Emergency Chest Pain Center was America's first to achieve full accreditation and the first to install a fully functional cardiac catheterization lab just a few steps away from our ER doors. The average time in the U.S. from ER arrival to opening of a blocked heart artery is 64 minutes. At Mercy, thanks to our ER cath lab and the area's most experienced emergency heart care team, it's faster. We're capable of opening a blocked artery in as little as 5 minutes. If you have heart attack symptoms, get to Mercy. We can stop a heart attack in record time. To learn more, visit cantonmercy.org/heart.
It's winter weather season, which means dry, irritated skin can be a problem. Medicine Center Pharmacy can help you stay moisturized for less. Save on our quality choice. Today we're discussing winter driving safety with Mercy Medical Center's Julie Dominik, winter driving safety rehabilitation specialist from Mercy Rehabilitation Program. So we are going to get back to the final section of the show. Where are we?
Well, let's talk about gas tanks. I enjoyed filling up my gas tank Saturday night in the,
Blizzard.
icing rain and stuff. And it wasn't something I planned on, but, I think people like to chide others about if we hear there's 3 snowflakes coming, they go to the grocery and buy all the milk. But there at least is some method to the madness, because over the weekend I was out and about, not at times because I had planned on it, but because some things came up that I had to be. And I feel like a lot of people took the heeds of the warnings of the road conditions and stayed home. Mm-hmm. But when you're out and about, you need to be prepared. So How much gas should you have in your tank when it's really cold?
Well, it used to be the half a tank idea, and I think a lot of older people still keep that half a tank idea all the time because they don't want to ever run out of gas. There used to be some truth to pieces and parts of your fuel system that wouldn't operate correctly if you ran it down too low. Fuel line freeze up used to be a problem. It's not really a problem anymore. What they do say, the experts, and I'm not one of them that knows a lot about the car maintenance issues. However, they say if you readily go under a quarter of a tank of gas, you are lessening the life of your fuel pump as well as your fuel filter typically. So you want to keep more fuel in there. It's not so much an issue in the winter weather, more than unless you're going to be driving for long distances and you may run out of gas and you may not have a place to get gas, So I would do it more for peace of mind to make sure that you had the fuel in there. It's probably less of an issue with a mechanical standpoint. So a quarter tank would be probably where you'd want to fill up after.
Many of the oil companies in the past had this huge ad campaign, fuel line freeze up, and puts this additive in and keep your gas tank full and
you don't hear that anymore.
No, I know you don't.
No, you don't hear that anymore because it's not a problem.
So is our gasoline better, or did it give up?
That's it. I don't know. I don't think I hear about that happening either. So.
Okay. So, what about long distance drivers? Okay, and I know truckers they know what's happening. Okay. But the person who's traveling long distance in a car, visit relatives, Christmas time, holiday time, whatever, what should they do prior to departure?
Well, we'll go back to vehicle condition. That's obviously the first thing. Having those items that we talked about readily available in case you would get yourself into a situation where you were stuck or you were stranded. The other thing that you want to make sure that you're doing is watch that weather forecast. We have the wonderful technology today. We can find out what the weather's going to be pretty close to accurate. So looking at your routes, looking at your road conditions, looking at alternative routes. People today tend to use GPS. I'm a fan of it. However, I see my children's generation, they're like, well, we'll just put the GPS on. They're not looking at the alternatives or checking the route prior to. So I think if you're going to go on a long distance trip, you need to be prepared. This is the route I plan to take. However, if something goes wrong on this route, this will be an option.
Well, I think it's particularly difficult in this time of the year when it's so cold. Let's say you're out in the West or Midwest and you're going through like in the state of Nebraska or one of the states that aren't heavily populated.
Yeah.
And you're on a road for a long time when you don't see anything.
Right.
So you better be ready.
You better be prepared. Absolutely.
Yeah, something goes wrong.
I would avoid that type of travel in this time of year because the risks are too great.
Yeah.
Unless you would have to do something like that. Shoot, you get on the west side of our state and you feel like you're in no man's land because there's nothing
I guess you're right.
Many miles. So.
Well, how about we touch on your Mercy Driver Rehab program again, and is there anything that you have coming up you'd like to talk about, or any other safe tips, or what can you offer to have our listeners reach out that have questions or might want to take advantage of that service?
All right. Well, if you have any questions for me that are related to driving, medical conditions, learning to drive with maybe some kind of disability, you are more than welcome to call me at any point in time. It would be Julie Dominik at 330-489-1135. They will get you to me, or I will get a message to get back to you if I'm not available. I will be talking actually at the Myers Lake YMCA this coming Monday, which is the 28th of January at noon. People can, if you're interested, this is more how to stay fit as we age for driving. So it's more of a general discussion with older drivers who I spend a lot of time with. So it's a great presentation, and if you're interested in looking at that, you can actually call the Myers Lake YMCA and at 330-454-9018 and RSVP to that function if you'd like to hear me speak. We also have some things coming up, although they're not, the dates aren't publicized yet, but I'm with our Stark Safe Communities Coalition, and we have some great opportunities coming up this year to promote safe driving.
Excellent.
We're out of time. Right on the money. Thank you to our special guest, occupational therapist and certified driver rehabilitation specialist Julie Dominik from Mercy Driver Rehab. We'd like to remind our listeners, if you suspect you have a medical issue, please contact your healthcare provider. Thanks to Mercy Medical Center, Studio Arts and Glass, and of course our technical producer, J.D. DeAngelis. As always, Thank you, our listeners, for joining us on Health Matters with the Medicine Center Pharmacy. We are a local Health Mart pharmacy caring for you and about you. Have a healthy week, and we'll see you again here next Friday right here on Newstalk 1480 WHBC.
Thank you for joining us for this edition of Health Matters with the Medicine Center Pharmacy and your hosts, your pharmacists Paul White and Brad White. Remember, you can get more information right now at medshoprx.com. That's medshop.rx.com. Be sure to join us next Friday at this time for Health Matters with the Medicine Center Pharmacy. The preceding program was sponsored by the Medicine Center Pharmacies.